Start streaming. There we go. And let's get that YouTube open. Make sure we're up and running. We're up and running. Gentlemen, have you had fun in Arcana Cup so far? In the factions with Arcana? While we're making sure that this Poke Battle, no, both of you are shaking your head no.
I liked it the first week, and then after that, it was not. Pelipper just killed it for me.
Pelipper just killed it for you. So
mine is more. I don't like Coffin because both if it's hard checks and mainly only checks are Honchkrow and Shiftry, and they're so glassy, so they feel like they're alignment based. And when Pokemon are alignment based, it feels more like I'm going for RPS compared to like typical strategies that I like to do, like energy management.
No, both of you are
rely
shaking
on this
your
thing,
head
so
no.
it's super hard to like. And then so it just feels like it's a coffin fest, and you gotta like, I guess, just figure out how to play around it.
That's really funny that you guys say that, because I've been watching my faction's teammates as well play around Arcana, and I've definitely seen Coffin and Pelippers flying around. But with factions, you can change it out throughout the week, right? Like, do you guys ever? You still doesn't matter. You still.
It doesn't matter. Coffin, like Mason said, it. Coffin barely has any like really hard checks. I use Haunter or like Runerigus as his checks, but even then, like you're baiting half the time. With Haunter, you invest shields, you're good to go. And then Pelipper, one wing attack advantage, and it runs wild.
Yeah.
One extra wing attack and it run? Get out of here.
Well, yeah, because if you don't opt for the Coffin, if you do opt for the Haunter, which gives you a little bit better matchup because you can outpace those shadow punches.
Right.
You then become weaker to Pelipper because a Weather Ball practically one-shots you. Because you're a Haunter now.
So that dual core does it. That's interesting.
Why Venusaur? Because that actually does pretty well against both.
I like that. We'll get more into that in a little bit, because I did the numbers too on your Pokemons. I was like, let's just look at where Venusaur sits. But yeah, let's get started and kick this off. Welcome everybody to the Poke Battle Network. I am SosaFlow, and you're here on YouTube as we are going to be going and breaking down this wonderful Arcana Cup that was just announced like 2 days ago. We have the third and final wave of Sylph announced, with Arcana being it, and I have invited two amazing faction specialists to come talk about this meta, because they have been a part of it for, the beginning of season 2 faction cycle 3. Well, we're 6 weeks in now, so they've had some time to practice with it. Welcome to the Studio B, MJ Get It and Magic Mason. MJ, how you doing today, sir?
Man, I can't complain. Won't do no good, but I'm here to discuss some factions, third and final wave of the season, so let's get to it.
Mason, you doing all right? You enjoying this third and final wave? Are you excited for it? Is it here? It's ready?
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I've already had some experience with Arcana, so it's a little bit, of a different situation where we have a little bit of prep going into the Sylph metas. Not too common where that happens, I feel like, but yeah, it gives us a little bit of an advantage for any of us faction players who have played Arcana already, as we do head to that third wave.
Yeah. Do you feel, after such an intense meta or wave of the last two, having one that's matched up with factions here right after is a great little breather? Do you feel like this is a breather, or do you feel like this is still top-notch meta here?
Yeah, it really depends, because, sometimes I like a little bit of a break because I am playing Arcana and factions, so to be able to, like, get a different kind of a meta and not have to, be playing so much the same meta. But it is really nice in that case that I don't have to worry about spending too much time team building either, now that I already have an understanding of the meta from my previous analysis and studies.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with Mason. I kind of would have liked to have a little break from it, but like I kind of look at it just like it was with Ember Cup. We had Ember previous cycle, and then it was the first cup for the Sylph season this season. So maybe success can follow from there. Anybody who had Ember experience in faction, just bring it on over here and run with it from there.
Yeah, I would hope that your teammates go, you know what, guys, we know you've been playing Arcana. You guys could play Catacombs this month while the other players can play Arcana while they're learning it and everybody's getting used to it, right? And that way you guys can get away from the Pelipper and all of the Kofa that apparently is haunting this entire meta. As we look at what the meta is allowing, it is Ghost typing, Grass typing, Psychic, and Rock. And I'm loving the additional Pokemon that they added on here. You've got Gyarados, you've got Honchkrow, Pelipper, Scyther, and Vespiquen. Now, you guys are saying Pelipper's running wild in this meta. Are you noticing that with any of the other Pokemon that they've added as well?
I've noticed a little bit of a shift, or not a shift, but a little bit of some people opting for the Shadow Gyarados.
Okay.
Certain things in this meta are pretty glassy and the oppressive Dragon Breath damage. Aquatail a little bit spammy, as well as the crunch coverage for the two of the typings, Ghost and Psychic, that are allowed. So it's definitely another option. I think it does pretty well against Pelipper as well, just because they have to hit you with a Hurricane at some point to take you out. I guess you can maybe spam Weather Balls, but probably not as fun with that Dragon Breath damage coming at you.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of Gyarados, Shadow Gyarados. I've even seen a couple of Honchkrows, but I don't expect to see 2 more Honchkrows. That seems more like a sim hero to me. But like, Pelipper's pretty much been the main one out of that group, and it's kind of dictated what happens in the meta going forward. So like, yeah.
All right, so we've got one that is a dictator of the meta, and it's shaping it out to be. Let's take a look at what the meta is now, because the beauty of having this be a factions meta is that at the beginning of the metas, everybody's like, oh, this is the Pokemon, that's the Pokemon. And then metas start shifting. You start going into tournaments and more new meta Pokemon pop up. Now, like midway through Arcana and factions, meta isn't shifting as much. There's not going to be any sort of crazy new Pokemon that's going to change the way it plays. So this meta is pretty solid, and you have Pelipper there sitting at number 1 with Shiftry on Shadow version, Gengar, regular Shiftry, Mew, Honchkrow, Tyrunt, Runegrigus, Cofagrigus, and Marowak, Alolan Shadow. Have you guys seen any Alolan Marowaks or Gengars?
I've seen probably a couple of Gengars. I've seen nobody use Alolan Marowak.
Yeah, me either. I haven't seen Gengar either. If I've seen the member of that family, it's been Haunter more commonly, actually. I think once again, especially like in the faction situation where you have the ability to TM in case there is like a jump off as the main flyer, you have the Ice Punch ability for Haunter as well. So I think a lot of people maybe opt for that in those situations. So that's what I've been dealing with most parts. So
plus Haunter wins a lot of CMPs too on top of that, more so than Gengar. So
yeah, with his attack so high up at 161, Honchkrow or Haunter definitely high in on the attack and high in on winning you that CMP and forcing shields. I mean, now PV Poke doesn't have it on Ice Beam or Ice Punch. It has it as Shadow Punch. But it's not it's not the community day move. You can definitely take it off Shadow Punch, put down Ice Punch. I suggest it as well because you've got the ground and the dark type grass that seems to be number 1 that everybody likes to favor as well. So having that ice typing is so great. Giving it that ice typing way back when, everybody was like, why would you give it to it? I was like, oh, this is beautiful because now you can play with it. And for condensed metas like this, it's wonderful. I thought it was mostly meant for Mandibuzz, but now it's here for Jumpluff. And Runegrigus too.
Well, I was going to say, if you look at the 2 Shadow Claw Resist, which are the 2 dark types we talked about on Shiftry and Honchkrow, also very much both glassy. They're both weak to ice, flying type and grass type. So it does have a little bit of coverage play against everything. And honestly, it actually makes me realize, I don't think Haunter can be really walled by anything in the meta.
It can't be walled, but it can be taken down.
Yeah, you got to be careful with it.
You got to use your shields right. Because I used to play with Haunter a couple times, and that thing, even if you shield the right move, you don't shield it at the exact right time. The fast move pressure starts building up with that.
Yeah.
Are there other ghosts you suggest as well? I see Gorgeist and Drifblim down here.
If you don't have Runerigus, you might want to invest in one because it's sneakily good in this meta.
Runegrigus, ranked number 8 here. He's got the Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, and Saiyan Tomb. So one of the debuffers of this meta.
See, I was always curious about that because I was once again thinking, like, especially with Pelipper and even Jumpluff, you now make both Weather Ball and Energy Ball super effective. But I feel like then it's whether you want the trade off of that Santum bait ability can help you, flip the Coffin matchup, and just the bait ability in general can help you probably flip some matchups you maybe wouldn't typically win with Coffin.
With Pelipper and Runerigus, Runerigus can tank a couple of Weather Balls depending on like the Pelipper's IV. The Energy Ball coming from Jumpluff, like Jumpluff doesn't have that much of an attack stat to begin with, so you're tanking that too. So you just go ahead and throw the the Sand Tomb, and if you get the shield, go for the Shadow Ball. If not, just keep on Sand Tomb and let another Pokemon come in and do the damage, just like a technical Pokemon you have in this meta. One of the few.
That is really interesting. I like that play as well because it's the bait, and it's a bait with a debuff as well. Like, even if you lose the matchup, the Pokemon that is coming in can just farm faster and doesn't have to worry about Jumpluff getting to another charge move. Is there any other Pokemon you're seeing further down here? I really like the Ferrothorn. I thought Ferrothorn with the rock typing, having that grass, especially with the flyers being so prominent. Now, people might say Thunder, right? I say Flash Cannon. And I say Flash Cannon because it's just quicker to get to, one. But also, like, they don't expect it. Everybody thinks they're so safe. Even the grass. And it just chunks down the health. And I like it. I feel like it's just a sneak move. I don't expect Thunder to be very useful. Like, power
does help with the 2 water flyers in Gyarados and Pelipper, but instead of Thunder or Flash Cannon, both of which are like extremely expensive, I'd prefer Mirror Shot. Ferrothorn, like Shiftry and Lurantis. You throw Mirror Shot, you get a chance to debuff their attack, but at the same time, in some of those matchups, it can flip that match to where Ferrothorn wins.
I ain't even
so now your most expensive move is a 50 energy Power Whip.
Yeah, Mirror Shot. That's a good one. Sorry.
I typically still was running Flash Cannon in most situations just because, I think Shiftry, like, the Mirror Shots don't actually do enough just because it's a lot low DPE. But you're saying if you do have more chances now for the debuff, so which could be useful. But also every time, like, in that matchup specifically, every time you would throw a charge move, they're getting a whole 3 extra turns because you're throwing 3 versus 3. So having to throw less moves by throwing just the one nuke with the Flash Cannon. But no, I like it a lot too. Just a lot of flexibility with that Ferrothorn pick with any of those charge moves. You could have the Mirror Shot, spammy, the Flash Cannon nuke, or the Thunder for the water flyers. Really all different options.
A wonderful utility Pokemon there deep down here. Like, have you guys noticed that in Arcana you've been able to reach down and grab a Pokemon further down the way?
I mean, I feel like looking it down even further in the 55 and 48 spot, we have the 2 psychic counter users. I mean, I think DD is a little bit more common generally. But I mean, they're both really tanky, and there are rock types in the meta, and they both have coverage move for flyers, so they both do pretty well. And I think Ferrothorn is somewhat of a pretty common pick, so Shiftry as well, weak to counter. The counter users are pretty strong, and like I said, they're XL Medi can take some hits for sure. So it's like hit out bulks a lot of things in the meta as well too.
I'm actually kind of surprised that we're seeing, like, at least on the faction side of things, a lot of Aggron and Tyranitar play.
Yeah,
at least in the platinum area, like seeing a bunch of Aggron and Tyranitar, and it's like, well, why would you bring that with as Mason said, the counter users in Metacham and Deoxys Defense? Well, in Platinum, you're not seeing that many Deoxys Defenses or Metacham because everybody's got your
Pelippers.
Cofagrigus, all of them, and even some of the grass types that can handle those 2. So it's like, well, make it work. And Aggron actually pretty well because I think it has Smackdown and Dragon Tail.
Yes.
So you can kind of pick your poison with that one.
Yeah.
That is a nice. I like that play. I think that's real smart. The defense Deoxys too, that counter. If Rock is so small, like so big, and also not to forget, like Shiftry is fragile. Like if you can get rid of Shiftry, you can just have your ghosts do whatever they want at that point. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a positive matchup for Deoxys overall against Shiftry.
Yep, it is.
It is like Shiftry right there, 561 on PV poking the one shield here, rocking Psycho Boost and Rock Slide on Defense Deoxys. It's a great Pokemon. I think it'll be great for you as a team build. Now, even in your meta picks too, I think I like the idea of Tyranitar in factions. I don't think it's gonna do you justice in the tournaments later down the line. Now, if you're in your local tournament and you know your players, like, you know, you're going back to fight against like Buckeye Fitzy or something like that, and you know he's gonna bring whatever flyer, right? And you're like, you won't run Tyranitar, right? You know you won't do it because Buckeye will have whatever, the Fitz family will have a DD, right? So like maybe not in these long-term tournaments for you, but in a factions meta, Tyranitar, Aggron could do it, or so it could be that spice, but don't expect it to carry your team. Because you might end up playing 5 Pokemon only because everything else just hardwalls your Tyranitar. I do have to say one big old ups to Barbaracle, because I was playing with this and I thought it was great. Because it's got that Fury Cutter, which hits those Psychics, which kind of puts some damage down on the Darks and that Grass typing as well. But man, oh man, can this thing take an Earthquake? I feel like having Barbaracle on a Pelipper, my man, I felt like I was Jump Pluff all over again. Like I was like, oh, it does this much to my health? It was so good. I had Stone Edge and I didn't have did I have Cross Chop? Because Barbaracle has a ton of moveset there that you can play with.
Grass Knot.
Grass Knot, Skull Bash, and Cross Chop. You can have Water Gun and Mud Slap if you want, but I preferred Fury Cutter. But oh my god, it took a Hurricane so well, and I thought I was done. I was like, oh, I lost this one, and the Hurricane came through. I still had so much health to get to a second Stone Edge on a one shield Pelipper and take the win. And I was like, wow. So just a nod there to that Pokemon is that good. If you're seeing the Pelippers for those factions, again, depending on how the meta shifts for Solo, we might see a few more counter users pop up at the top there, because that might be a real strong asset against all teams, because counter is such a strong move.
Yeah, and I think that was another reason why in terms of some of the rock types, or the main rock type being Crustle, is the neutral from counter, and then especially Deoxys, the X scissor damage that you can potentially get off is super effective. So pretty useful there as well.
I'm going to look at the chat now. Let's see if some people are chatting about what they've seen down here in this meta. Ben Speedy just says, yo, and as the Pokeball turn is here, what is going on? I had a wonderful interview with Steve. Wonderful interview about Sylph there. The Middle Finger Cup. Let's go, he says. It seems like he might be just as tired of this meta too from his faction side. And maybe that's just the thing too. Maybe this is something that battlers are going to have to look forward to in the future.
I think he was talking about the logo.
Yeah, that looks more like logo than it is actually the cup.
Oh, the logo. Oh, okay.
I think you would say that like a middle finger.
My misunderstanding. Yes, it definitely looks. I didn't even see that. I just saw a meteor coming down from the sky.
You know, it's funny. I didn't see it until he said that, but as soon as you said that, I caught it.
I saw it the first time they pointed out in my faction chat. We were all talking about it being the Middle Finger Cup, and it was like, well, they wouldn't actually do that. Maybe it's going to be like some big old FU to everybody who loves like rock types. They got Pelipper in there, and like, well, I mean, technically, it is.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's an FU to everybody who likes whatever the orange dot is, because in the middle is the orange dot, right? The whole surrounding.
That orange dot might as well be Hypno.
They're finally so over Hypno. They're like, we're so season 3 woes are done. We're sorry, folks. Hypno's over. Big FU. Oh, it was the logo. Dave says was the logo. So you guys were right. Middle finger was the logo. But is there, gentlemen, before we go and talk about our core, We've talked about this meta. How intricate is the team building here? Was it easy to build a team? Like, is it very difficult? Like, you're going to have to, like, crunch numbers, do sims. How many flash tournaments do you think one would need?
I don't know. I always feel like I'm trying to build a team. I'm like, I just need one more slot. I need one more just to be able to cover everything. And it's just like, because I want to use one of those dark types just so I do have like at least the ability to threaten the Shadow Claw users to like shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, once again, I don't personally like to use those glassy of a Pokemon because I don't feel they provide much flexibility. So it's like I'd rather have my team of 6, but then it's like, I don't know, just a couple situations where you have to decide what you want to go with and figure it out.
I feel like this is a cup where going into it, you think you're going to have like your 6 mapped out, and maybe a 7th just in case you want to do an extra tournament and switch out something. But then once you get to like actually game plan and all this, you're like, oh wait, no, maybe this ghost type isn't going to be good here, or maybe like these grasses are going to be way more effective than I thought because I didn't build my team to prepare for, say, Shiftry or a random Meganium out of nowhere just coming through Earthquake and everything. Like, you know, so I think it's helps, but also for the faction players may hurt because like you got to spend more time thinking about what you want to put into your team, and in some cases IVs and move sets.
So battling, basically all concepts of battling.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the fact that you said it's a little bit different than Ember, because Ember there was like 4 prominent Pokemon, where this it's not 4 prominent Pokemon. Pelipper might be a prominent Pokemon, like there might be 1 or 2, but it's not 4 prominent Pokemon, which is over half your team. It's a guessing
1
game.
in 8 possibles.
Yeah,
you're playing spades, 1 in 8 possibles.
Exactly. So I like that. I'm excited that this is the beginning of our last wave in the Arcana Cup here as we are rounding up May. We are done with Sylph waves coming through. This is it. We know every single meta, every single tier that's happening. So far, gentlemen, just out of what we've seen out of all of the meta so far and what we know of Innocence right now, what would you tentatively rank Arcana Cup?
In terms of with the other first 4?
Just within the waves. With all the waves that we've had, you know what Innocent Cup is going to look like for the most part. Could you rank Arcana Cup? Well, I guess, could you rank it right now? Because you've had, the only reason I would ask this is because there's been factions practice with it. So having this, knowing Arcana as well as we should for being factions battlers.
I'd probably rate it 5th out of the 6.
Out of 6? 5 out of 6?
I'd say
right ahead of Ember. Right ahead of Ember.
See, okay, I'm being a little bit biased here. I actually liked Ember. If only because like I played with Quillfish like daily
all the time. Yeah.
So I knew all the ins and outs about that Pokemon. But
I remember Specialist Cup. I still fangirl over that play. That was so good.
But I'd probably rank it. I definitely say it was better than Ionic for me.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's better than Ember or what was the other one? Naiad.
Yeah. I'll put it at the bottom down below too. I did like Ember right now a little more. I don't really like what I've seen so far with my factions meta of this, but when we get into the solo play, I'm sure it'll be a little bit different. But I like having that play with the 4 Pokemon and Ember and just the beginning of the season and getting us all intricated and like not being so team build heavy and all of the skill sets that were needed for a regular, like a real ace level skill meta. Like Ember was so good. I feel like this is a rival tier meta, but where it's at right now, like after Polkadot Cup, like thank you, I get to breathe, but so I'd probably put this at 5th or 6th as well. But gentlemen, are you ready to talk about our cores?
Ooh, yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get that up. And while we get that up, I'm going to read what the folks out there in the chat have been saying, as we've got Ben Speedy out there saying they love Crustle and Malamar. Gentlemen, do you have any love for Crustle or Malamar in this meta?
I mean, I like them both because once again, Crustle with the little bit of actually we talked about Crustle having the X scissor for Deoxys, but especially once again the factions can even go Fury Cutter.
Yeah, that's what I was
Um,
gonna say.
for the fast move, even more. I know in the Silp you might be stuck locked into one. You're probably going to want the Smackdown just because it's more consistent for the Flyers generally. But you do have that flexibility in factions more so there. So very interesting pick for sure. And yeah, I think
I
it's
feel
pretty
like
cool.
Malamar is a dark version of Frostlass. Any cup is in, you better believe it's going to be somebody's closer, and they're going to know how to use it.
Ooh, we will definitely see about that. The closer, Malamar, a great Pokemon, and Crustle. I mean, to have utility like that to swap back and forth, like that's another asset of metas too. Now, where you don't know what the Pokemon is there for. Why is Crustle there? Is it really to protect against Pelipper? On decision there by Ben Speedy. But I'm gonna go for it. We're gonna start off with our first core pick. Oh no, no! I have all of my notes. 2 seconds. I totally left my notes in my book bag. No, why is Pelipper so good?
Folks, have you ever been unprepared for your own stream?
Ah,
I
okay.
have. And I'm spilling in time for Sosaflo to get back with his notes. Sosaflo, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Get It, for killing time as I got my official notes here. So my first Pokemon is, as you heard me say, it is Pelipper. I went bold and hard. It is like they've said it. I'll say it. It absolutely is on everybody's team. This is the Pokemon. When the one shield, it wins 70% of the meta. Let's see, loses to just Rock, Steel, and Grass, and Mew with Wild Charge. But if Mew's not rocking Wild Charge, then you kind of have some good fair play against that Mew. But it beats Grass, Ghost, Ground, Psychic, Swoobat, Bronzong, Hypno, Latios. The list goes on and on. This spammy Pokemon puts so much pressure down, and we've known about this Pokemon now since Season 3 of GBL and are terrified of it. We know what to expect. We have trauma version of it. Like the Weather Ball water itself puts still that hard pressure on the hard rock counters. That's why there's not so many rock typings up at the top there, because this Weather Ball just still puts that pressure down. The Hurricane is a nuke move. It just wipes out almost everything. This Pokemon is a beast of a move, and after the wing attack, you should have one built. Like after it got that wing attack, you should have a Pelipper built. 100% a switcher and charge user. That was my last note. I love this note. And what it means by that, like on PvPoke, it'll say like it's 100% a charge mover or 100% a switcher. Absolutely charge user. I would have seen it as a lead in this meta. People have actually played this Pelipper playstyle as Frostlass a lot, where they'll build up a lot of energy, save it up, bank it in the back, and then 2-shield the Frostlass later, bringing in whatever general list they want against your team. So Pelipper has been really well played throughout this meta, and it is absolutely a core one. So that's my spew on Pelipper, gentlemen. Do you have anything good to say about positive things? No trauma, please. Like, how do you feel about Pelipper in this meta?
I mean, it's dangerous, like as I think MJ and you have alluded to. But you also have the opportunity to use it yourself. So if you can make plays, I like using it personally. I've used Pelipper a lot in my old days in the GBL lines, from back when it originally got Weather Ball before that was nerfed at one point. So now getting with the wing attack buff, it feels like it plays the same again. Really, honestly, a little bit better. Getting the Hurricanes even a little bit faster. And it's just so dynamic. You have the baits in the certain situations where you need to get to the Hurricanes, or you have the ability just to spam those Weather Balls, and either strategy is often pretty good and gives you good matchups.
I think one thing about Pelipper that people kind of forget is actually it's more tanky than you think it is. Like, you can take a couple of hits. Like, you don't have to exert all your shields except for probably against the electric type moves, but outside of those, and there's very few electric users in this meta. So like, Mason said it's a very dynamic Pokemon, but it's also, which kind of can go into some trauma. But I've used it in the past. I use it on some of my GBL teams as well. Like, it deserves the #1 ranking in Arcana on PvPoke. from what I've seen and experienced of it.
Perfect. That is wonderful. I have nothing else to say about Pelipper. We've seen it for 6 weeks now, and factions just dominate this meta. That's why it is number 1 on my list, sir. Mr. MJ, get it. MJ, what is your core pick? Your first
Well,
core
you
pick.
know how I just got done talking about this trauma that I have with Pelipper. Well, why not just have a Pokemon out there that can stop that thing in its tracks with, Tyrant, one of the few dragons in this meta. It's a fast move. Like, unless you're a steel type, you're not resisting. Like, there's very few Pokemon, if any, in this meta resisting its fast move and resisting Dragon Claw. Then you throw an ancient power with the chance to boost up both its attack and defense by 2 stages. Like, it's another Pokemon that can potentially go wild if that boost happens. And even if that boost doesn't happen, just put in the lead, let it like chunk through some of the more frail Pokemon. We were talking about this earlier. Like, it can go through Shiftry and Haunter and Gengar. It does well against Pelipper because it basically makes Hurricane useless, and you have to go straight Weather Ball, and even then you need some energy advantage against it. Tyrant's the reason why you might want to consider Gyarados as well. So this is kind of where I'm like, this is one of my core picks. You just need it to like chunk through things. You forget about your shields, like save your shields with this Pokemon. Just keep on chunking and just on whatever unsuspecting soul is about ready to come in and think is going to survive a Dragon Claw.
I know Ancient Power is not a heavy hitter, but when you pair it with Dragon Tail, that right there could be dangerous, especially if it double boosts. Do you suggest PvP IVs? Because I do not have a Tyrant. I have XL candies. I have the candies because of hatching. I have regular Tyrants, but I don't have any GBL Tyrants.
Just Tyrant.
Just Tyrant. I could just go in with whatever IVs.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't suggest going too far into the XL part of it.
Okay.
If you got like a level, I want to say 35 with maybe not 35 X, just go. Go with that. All you're doing is just Dragon Tailing, throw a Dragon Claw to take a shield. It too is a little more tanky than you believe it. Not too tanky, but can survive some hits. You just keep on chucking. Forget the shields. For all you charm lovers out there, I'm not one of them. Like, let me go ahead and clear that right now. I'm not one of them.
I am.
But all you charm lovers out there, this is what you want. You want something that's just going to put them bows to all them Pelippers. Just knock it out the sky. Don't do just You love Tyrant in this meta.
I love Dragon Tail because it's a charm clone, but yeah, like you gotta knock it out of the sky. Mason, you look like you're about to say something. Sorry.
No. Tyrant is something I haven't got a chance to use myself yet, but I have seen it do some work with just the consistent fast move pressure. Dragon Tail hits pretty hard, and yeah, both Ancient Power and Dragon Claw. Maybe not overall the hardest hitting move, but they're cheap energy, so you get to those pretty fast, as well to add on to the damage from the Dragon Tail. That it's pretty impressive Pokemon. And like MJ also mentioned, it is a lot tankier than you'd really expect. So.
I would also like to point out with Tyrant, like the main Pokemon that usually beat this thing in Arcana all have moves that are super effective against either one of its 2 typings. So like that's what maybe Gyarados' Dragon Breath. You got, help me out here.
Waterfall with Waterfall counter users, DD.
Like you gotta have super effective attack to take this thing out and not be afraid of it. If you don't, you're going to get hurt. And even some Pokemon that do, like Malamar, has superpower. If you don't call that superpower right, you're going to get hurt by those Dragon Tails.
Oh, imagine if shielding the right superpower, then debuffed Malamar now taking a Dragon Tail. Oh, that would hurt. Oh, well, that is a wonderful core Pokemon. I've seen tons of Tyrant throughout my faction battles too. Like my teammates come back and is like, "Screw this Pokemon! It's hits like a truck." I'm sure all of you, like both of you, have seen that throughout your time as well in Platinum and in Emerald. So Thank you for your wonderful pick there in Tyrunt as that chomping prehistoric dragon. Dragon Rock or just pure dragon?
Dragon Rock.
Dragon Rock. Ooh, yeah, you really don't want to see counter at all, do you? That hurts like nobody's business.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into Mason now. Mason, sir, do you have a core Pokemon?
Yeah, so I think a little bit of typical pick that we've seen back in the day. Pretty good moveset. Flexible. We got the Mew. Pretty interesting Pokemon. I think you're commonly going to go for the Shadow Claw in this situation, as well as either maybe like a Surf or Dragon Claw as one of your bait moves, the cheaper energy moves. And then your nukes. But you have a couple ways to hit Pelipper. Currently, the set I picked doesn't actually have either electric types, but you can go anything crazy as such as Volt Switch to have super effective fast move pressure, or obviously that Wild Charge. I really like that. I think as we mentioned with the Haunter and the Ice Punch, is the ice coverage in this meta is pretty good against the grass, some of the flyers, especially like a Jump Fluff. You can pretty much one-shot with Ice Beam. And Surf is just such a good move. It's really a 1.63 DPE, one of the best 40 energy moves. We've seen Lantern get Surf recently, and it became so much better. So Surf is really just a good move to have, and it really helps with like those different rocks, such as Crustle, even Tyrant. I know obviously Dragon Claw would be better for the super effective dragon damage, but I feel like that's the only thing in this meta that like Dragon Claw would be good. Like for outside of Surf, outside of it's a little bit cheaper for baits. So if you are going to be going for the bait strategy, Ice Beam is definitely a little bit interesting. But I mean, that's one of the best things about Mew. If you are in like a faction setting, you really can tailor your move set to your opponent's team. Obviously in Sylph, it's a little bit more difficult, but you know, you have those Shadow Claws as well, and it helps actually as a psychic type, be able to even beat some of the ghosts in certain situations, certain shielding situations. I know if you play out like the twos eventually, you're going to win CMPs and pace to your moves faster. You can even beat like a Coffin, which you would think a ghost with Shadow Claw, stab Shadow Claws, losing to a psychic type with Shadow Claws. It's pretty interesting that can happen sometimes. So Mew's a little beast there.
Mew is a little beast. I mean, especially in the faction setting where you can have whatever move set you want. Like in a tournament, your move set should be it's not going to be real flashy once it gets revealed after round one. Like, people are going to know what you're rocking. Maybe after round two, people finally know. But, like, for those in-person tournaments, I prefer Dragon Claw Rock Slide. Just my preference of Mew. I do, however, feel like maybe Volt Switch might be the way here. With all these flyers popping off. Yeah, there's grass, but the main grass is Shiftry, and that's real fragile and can't take a hit either. So I'm not too upset about that. I can force a charge move or a shield with Dragon Claw, maybe just get to a Rock Slide and throw that and see if they shield that or not. But Mew is just, what a utility Pokemon all around. Like, I'm so happy that it's such a, like, you know, you have legendaries and you're like, oh, the legendaries, but they can't be used. Mew is one that we can use, and that it's valuable in a lot of the Sylph metas that we've played with.
Yeah, Mew's like a lot of people call it the Swiss Army knife with the sets, and even in a Sylph meta where you're stuck with the moveset, you know, sometimes your opponent's not going to know your moveset. So if you have something a little bit spicy off of the meta, you know, people expecting the Wild Charge Surf, they have a grass type, they might, you know, like the Shiftry, they might not shield a move, you know, they get hit with an Ice Beam, they get hit with a even a Flame Charge, and you're boosting your Shadow Claws for something else. You know, like I said, you can already flip the ghost matchups. You land a Flame Charge on a grass type, you one shot that, and then you have boosted Shadow Claws. You're now winning that matchup even more so. So definitely a lot of different options with Mew, and it can really definitely be a Swiss Army knife, as some people call it.
I would say if you don't want to use the Wild Charge on it, like how PvP Poke recommends, you could go Grass Knot. Like, it does basically the same thing, probably like 5 more energy, but without the recoil damage.
Yeah,
that's nice. I mean, it's Mew, so whatever you guys want. I've heard Focus Blast, and I was like, y'all crazy. What, you're getting so long for a Focus Blast? Come on, you're waiting so long for a Focus Blast.
Yeah, I've seen them before work, and it's like you wouldn't believe it, but no one
I,
ever expects it. No one ever expects it. No one's ever shielding it. So
Not gonna lie, Gengar can have it too. You can expect Gengar to rock a Focus Blast or a Sludge Bomb. Same thing with Haunter. I think now giving Haunter Ice Punch was a lot better. It relieves the Sludge Bomb for the gas coverage of Haunter. But for Gengar, it could have Sludge Bomb and Focus Blast. Like, oh, imagine running into that. Yeah, Swiss Army knife. So this is the first round core of our first picks. A great set of Pokemon. I've literally seen teams literally have all three of these Pokemon in about 2 to 3 of my factions matchups. So let's talk about who you want to pair it with. And Mason, since we've ended with you, let's start with you, sir, and get your second core pick.
all right, so my second core pick is going to be, I think someone mentioned in the chat, it's going to be the Malamar. I think it's a very interesting pick, and just because of its coverage in this cup with the rock types. I know Ferrothorn's pretty good. Even and the other dark types. The super power play is pretty dangerous. I like to lead it a lot of times and have that ability to super power and dip, or even close out the match, put it as a closer spot and close out with superpowers. But then the dark type and the foul play is also good for those pesky ghosts that we have sort of discussed. So sometimes they can fight back, similar to how Mew, you wouldn't believe, be able to beat a ghost. The ghost can beat a dark type in the situation, especially due to the psychic typing. But yeah, those foul plays and making the Shadow Claws neutral, it's a very interesting pick, and it's like the only dark type that I've like sort of discussed that has a little bit of tankiness to it in the meta. Both Honchkrow and Shiftry are literally made of glass. So this is a dark type that actually gives you a little bit of tankiness to it. It allows a little bit more flexibility. And once again, like not a lot of things that are weak to superpower, even though it's non-stab like a Beware one. It still hits very hard, so you usually get a shield early in a lot of those matchups, and you can always end up clearing that debuff and using that Malamar later on.
Malamar is so interesting that's so far down because it has access to foul play and the fighting typing, which against rock is what you want. But yet it's just all the way down in like rank 30. It's not up there because there's so many ghosts out there that really put love to that Gourgeist. Like I've seen all the Gourgeist like beat it and Drifblim beats it. You're like, oh, but it's got foul play. So like you said, like it's a great core Pokemon to play around it with it. I'm not a Malamar user. MJ, are you a Malamar user?
I've used Malamar, and like I do like the idea of a superpower and dip. I'm more so, like I said earlier, I think of it as the dark type frost last. Just if it gets energy, try to like maintain that advantage, keep it going. Because nothing really wants to take a foul play. Nothing in this meta wants to take a superpower. Like I think the one thing that holds it back though is the fact that like all three of those moves, the ghosts, like it kind of makes it more favorable for the ghosts to come in on it. Like, yeah, Haunter and Gengar don't want to take a Psycho Cut or a foul play, but it's still getting the stabs, Shadow Punches off, and it's doing a lot of damage to it. The superpower is pretty much useless there. Mew can flip that matchup real easily, and then like save a shield, like maybe come in if my lead goes down and get some energy, then switch on out and save it for the end game.
Nice. Yeah. I hate debuffing myself. I think that's the worst thing ever. I hate playing around it. I feel like you kind of corner yourself. That's why I don't like Wild Charge. So I was so reluctant to use Arcanine for a lot of Pokemon Cup because I was like, oh, I gotta debuff myself. But then like the things the fast moves then don't hurt you as much. Like with Fury Cutter and Ice Wind or Icy Fang, not Ice Fang, Ice Shard. Ice Shard, right? They don't hurt you as much. But out here in Arcana Cup, if you debuff yourself, you got to worry about that Dragon Tail coming off like a mother, like just chunking away at you. You got to worry about a Rock Throw coming in hot. Weather Ball Water will absolutely be spammed on you in one of your battles. So why would I debuff myself in that situation? But if you know how to work around it and you like playing it and it gets you the one win that you want for the round and that's all you need and you know how to play with it, by all means, like, go after it. That's just my preference, though. I just don't like debuffing myself. I get it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I think the one thing I think MJ sort of actually touched on it pretty well was not a lot of things want to take a superpower and a lot of things want to take a foul play.
Mm-hmm.
And with Psycho Cut, it paces pretty fast, especially in that lead position. You can get an early shield, and then you're sort of dictating the matchup with that early shield. Even if you want to straight off sacrifice your Malamar, getting something like a Mew a shield advantage in the back is pretty dangerous, or something like a Gyarados or any hard hitters, and even a Honchkrow. You have a Honchkrow in the back with a shield advantage. It's going to be coming through hard. So getting that little bit of the early shields down with Malamar's pacing and coverage moves is pretty good. I guess the one thing you did mention though as well, it doesn't do the best against the Flyers because they don't really have to worry about the superpower, and foul play, if it's not super effective, doesn't really grant a shield from like a jump bluff. So you do have to have some coverage for those things. So.
Well, that's why you have Tyranitar and Pelipper, or Mew. So, with these two pairings, then, Mason, no, we'll get that. We'll do that after. After we'll go through everybody's first. After that, we'll get to Mr. MJ. Get it then. What is your second core Pokemon that every battler should have on their team or should look into to build?
Well, you should definitely look into this one because Arcana has grass types, and you've heard us talk a lot about Shiftry, and we brought up Ferrothorn and Lurantis, and all of those are pretty good and definitely should be worth considering. But there's a Pokemon that has the Pokédex number 3, and it has a community day move of Frenzy Plant. It's not the only Frenzy Plant user in the cup, but it's the best Frenzy Plant user. And that, of course, is Venusaur. And with Venusaur, you first look at it and go, okay, well, there's Pelipper up there with Wing Attack. There's the Malamar with Psycho Cut. Tyrant is a dragon type. It's going to resist all the grass type. Well, it's going to help neutralize the grass type moves. Mew can run many move sets. You got Shiftry and Gengar and like all these different Pokemon that resist it. Why would you want to run Venusaur? Because of Frenzy Plant. Like we just got done saying that not too many Pokemon want to take a superpower, not too many cup that does not care if it takes a Frenzy Plant. It's Bronzong. Everybody else does not want it.
Hold up, Bronzong's in this meta?
Yeah. It's the only one that doesn't want to, like even Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn needs Mirror Shot in order to beat Venusaur. Venusaur can beat all the grasses since Abomasnow's not in here.
Mm-hmm.
It does lose the Jump Bluff, but even then, Jump Bluff doesn't want to take the Sludge Bomb.
Yeah.
And the Fairy Winds aren't like hitting as hard as say a Flying type move would. And with Venusaur, another thing that people don't realize about it is if it has like one Vine Whip advantage, half of his losses flip.
Yeah.
If it's a 2 Vine Whip advantage, oh my God, you're in business. Just like keep on going. It's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Momentum. A lot of momentum with this Pokemon, and a lot of like core breaking going on with Venusaur. It should be ranked a little higher than it is on PvPoke just because of like users. The counter users may still beat it, but again, you don't want to take a Frenzy Plant, and his moves are relatively cheap because it has Vine Whip.
What do you think? What do you think? If I was to ask you a question, makes it better than some of the other Frenzy Planters? With maybe just the fact that the Frenzy Plants hit so much harder from this compared to like a Superior Meganium where they're tankier, or
it's
maybe
the poison
typing or something. Okay.
The poison type. It's defensive poison typing. It helps it resist like going up against Deoxys. I'll use Medicham for example.
Yeah.
The counter isn't going to hurt as much. It wouldn't hurt it as much as it would Medicham, Aerial Ace, or Meganium may have a better nuke in Earthquake. Is getting stabbed on both of its. Venusaur's getting stabbed on both of his moves.
Okay.
Yeah, and Sludge Bomb is really good for a lot of these other grasses as well. I'm looking at the meta right now again.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, the Jump Bluff as well too. Yeah, so
Venusaur has
I like it.
always been a anti-grass staple. It's been one of those since season 1 of Sylph. If there's a grass type meta out there, Venusaur was the first Pokemon everybody had because of the access to Sludge Bomb and a Frenzy Plant. So like this Sting has always been a heavy hitter. My big question to you though is it Shadow? Do you add that umph with Shadow? You don't go Shadow.
I don't go Shadow here because this cup actually has a lot of hard hitting Pokemon.
Okay.
So you kind of want some of the bulk with that Venusaur can bring.
Perfect. That is beautiful. So thank you. I just was so curious because shadows are allowed. You're talking about Frenzy Plant being such a heavy hitter. Why not? But you're saying that other Pokemon have heavy hits as well. You don't want to lose that 20% defense drop. So great. That's great analysis there.
Well, I think even one thing's like not only that they're also heavy hitters is the fast move pressure stuff like Pelipper. Those wing attacks become a lot more threatening, and like honestly, they don't even have to threaten Hurricanes at that point. Once the wing attacks are doing so much, they can just go straight weather ball in that matchup more so. Because they're doing so much more damage. So, like, I think MJ mentioned it as more of a Pelipper answer. When it becomes Shadow, I think that matchup does start to actually favor the Pelipper more overall.
Thank you. Because I was about to throw out Venusaur and then be like, MJ Kid doesn't know what he's talking about. Frenzy Plant don't do nothing. Venusaur can't take that. And then you're going to be like, fool, I never said Shadow. And I'd have been like, damn it, I need to listen better.
Exactly.
In the chat, we did have a boo because someone was excited for Meganium. Thought you were hyping up Meganium there, but that...
Is that DJ Go Luminous DJ in the chat? Because if it's him, he already knows how I feel about Meganium.
No, it's as the Pokeball turns.
He knows how I feel about Meganium too.
Excellent. So, yeah, he gave you a big boo, but I mean, the way you started talking about the poison typing helping out with not taking that extra damage there from that grass typing weakness is huge for Venusaur. So, wonderful. Thank you, sir. And we will get into my second and last core. And that is going to be good old Greg. I'm old Greg. Because I don't know how to pronounce Cofagrigus. But old Greg over here, you guys talked about him earlier. You talked about this too, Core. Like, I can't believe all of us picked 6 Pokemon and no one had Cofagrigus on their team of a core. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I'll just take my Bulbarical off and put in Cofagrigus then, because that Pokemon is super meta. This core Pokemon here is 83% win rate with 1 shield. And it gets better with the 0 shield as it wins 85% of the meta. So if you have a battler that thinks they're so good to not shield you, you can go no shield for shields here with this Pokemon. This Pokemon is a great generalist Pokemon that can, with 1 extra tap, just conquer and dominate. It's 7 taps to both Shadow Ball and Dark Pulse, but you can play a bait game with your opponent and throw a Dark Pulse at 7 and then go Shadow Ball at 6 or something and get another shield. Like, there is so much opportunity for this Pokemon to play around on your team. I just am baffled no one else picked it, but I'm glad I get to. I love ghost typing. It's one of my favorite typing. It's really hard sometimes with it because you have all of those darks out there, but with just Shiftry and Honchkrow being the darks, they're fragile as hell. Like, they still don't want to see a Shadow Ball. Neither of them still want to see a Shadow Ball or take Shadow Claws down, so that's great there. In the 2 shields though, Cofagrigus wins 65% of the meta. So don't give up 2 shields for Cofagrigus. Let your opponent give up 2 shields. That's why this Pokemon is so great to have on your team in this meta, as it loses to about 43 Pokemon. But the 43 Pokemon out of the 254, I think it is total in this meta, out of the 43 Pokemon it loses to, 12 of them are the top meta. You've got Slowking, Mew, Crawdilly, Gengar, Tyrant, and Latios. Like, those Pokemon are all going to be on people's teams because of Cofagrigus. But you should still not care whether or not those Pokemon are on all the teams because Cofagrigus is still going to do what Cofagrigus does. So it is a great core Pokemon for you to even start building off of, to feel safe, to have all of these attackers, to play with your different movesets, to go in with your Malamars. It is just a wonderful, thick Pokemon, and the defense is so nuts. It's so tanky. It could take the hits. It could take the Hurricane. So just have fun with it, and good luck out there with Cofagrigus. Gentlemen, do you have any thoughts with Cofagrigus there?
I mean, I think you said it. I don't know if MJ was similar to me. I didn't pick it as like one of my little cores, or because I think it's a guarantee to be on a team. So I'm not even like, it's like one of the best picks, or if not the best pick, I think, as you mentioned, especially in the 1s and 2s. So strong. So, I mean, similar to the Pelipper. The thing is, I think Pelipper is often even more shifted out, like with a Gyarados or a Jumpluff. And almost everybody I've seen has pretty much stuck with the Coffin as their ghost, or at least from, just my little bit of faction experience. And it's just so dominant. So it's definitely a really strong pick. And if you're looking to start a team, your core could be easily one of the best. So definitely an easy way to go there.
Yeah, so your core is the core to go with. If you have no idea what you're doing, just like boom, there it is. Pelipper is your Pelipper and Cofagrigus. You're messing
Greg, with good old Greg.
Yeah, like they're basically the two that set the pace for the meta in a way, in what we're saying. And that's kind of goes into why I picked what I had. Like, I just need two Pokemon that can like offset that, and then we can go from there. But no, we're going to stick with.
Well, let's get into it. My core is probably the meta core for this meta, right?
Mm-hmm.
MJ, why do you have these two Pokemon? What is it about these two Pokemon that core really well for a battler?
Well, okay, so I went the route of both expensively like dominant and very cheap that everybody has. Venusaur is like, okay, hey, you can build it, like you have multiple. Ivysaur is a nice little sub, just in case. But like Venusaur and Tyrant both together, they both can kind of handle Mew. Like they serve each other so well, and I think because what I've been seeing in factions, you're not seeing too many counter uses. Like you're seeing the real like holes ever seen Bronzong, and I think maybe an opposing Tyrant are like the ones off the top of my head that can like hurt my core. But I basically like it to where you use Tyrant to like chunk away, make your opponent think like, okay, I don't need all my shields. Then once you've taken out that Pokemon, Tyrant unloads all his energy, and then you bring in Venusaur to come in, and it's like, okay, now you're wishing you should have saved those shields, or like do it vice versa. Venusaur takes the shields, and then Tyrant comes in and be like, oh well, you ain't got no shields. Take all these Dragon Tails to the face.
I like that. That is great. I would say, like, even without the shields, if they decided they didn't want to shield and save the shields, Tyrant will take the Dragon Tails to the face. It's a great 1-2 punch you have there, sir.
And it's funnier too, because in my first factions match in Arcana, went up against like, I think it was Dino. It was from Team BTW. You could look him up.
Yeah, Dino. BTW.
Okay, cool. Dino. All right. And like Fitzy is on the team, and I was kind of like, okay, he knows how I battle. If he doesn't tell them how I take 2 battles off this, and his entire line, like talking to them in Fort Wayne about this, they was like, we looked at your entire line and we're like, your Venusaur has no play. And I was like, yeah, you're right, because I think he had Honstro, he had Ferrothorn, he had Pelipper, Malamar, Cofagrigus. It was all Pokemon that you would think Venusaur wouldn't want to see. And my counter, even that Honstro like being resistant to it, does it really want to take a Frenzy Plant? Nothing wants a Frenzy Plant, and nothing really resists the Dragon Tail. So it's kind of like a type synergy there. I'm getting 4 types and making the most out of it.
That is well thought out, sir. That is well thought out. And I like that idea. Like, yeah, it might not be like the best Pokemon. The Sims don't show it to be the best, but you know how to use it. You know how it works for your team. This core is absolutely great pressure, especially on the Cofagrigus Pelipper core, too. Like, I like it. It's well thought out, sir. I like it. Great job, sir. Wonderful core. Wonderful core. Mr. Magic Mason, why did you pick these two Pokemon?
Yeah, so honestly, when I first picked my Pokemon, I was really thinking I just wanted to talk about the Malamar, just because I feel like it was a little bit of an underrated pick. I know you and MJ both sort of said you don't really see yourself using Malamar, but it's like outside of, like, I think I mentioned the Pelipper and Jumpluff, which even aren't, sort of the worst losses, it really can't hit everything in this meta. So it's really like good for as like a flexible pick, and a little bit of a safe pick generally. And really, Mew is a similar style play. Obviously, once again, like I said, in the factions, you have the flexibility of the move sets. But they're both really flexible picks. So maybe I think that's one of the main reasons I went for them, is because you can just throw them on your teams of 3, find it with, teams of 6, and then find a way to put them into a team of 3 with other things. And you don't have to worry so much about being matchups lost to alignment, because you have the more flexibility with these mons to sort of try to find shield advantage, find energy advantages, and flip a lot of matchups that you probably wouldn't be able to otherwise. So that was some of the things I really like with these picks. Yeah, and I really think, especially with I said how they can both be Coffin, one of the strongest picks in the meta. I think it's really focused around. I know they can obviously, of course, both lose the Coffin, but they both have a lot of play against it. And I don't rely on the Shiftry and Honchkrow too often, because they are so glassy and they are the best Coffin answers. So I really wanted to try to find some other ways to neutralize the Coffin. And even though they're not mainly your first go-to for your Coffin answers, they do really well. And they're pretty good picks, if you ask me.
They are really good picks, strong picks indeed. I do like the fact that nothing else has any kind of defense except for defense besides Malamar, because all the other dark typing is super weak and fragile.
Yeah. The Shiftry and the Honchkrow is so glassy.
Right? And of course, Mew. I mean, you can even put Dark Pulse on Mew if you wanted to. Get real spicy. Get real dirty.
Snarl Dark Pulse. I get a pseudo dark.
We're trying to give battlers good advice here, not sociopaths advice. Okay.
No, I mean,
let's just do that tapping, right? You're up against a Cofagrigus or a Pelipper with Snarl. Are you winning that matchup? Are you getting the second surf off?
Well, maybe if you, like he said, you're running double dark with Dark Pulse.
I was like, you're getting that Cofagrigus a lot easier.
With Snarl? Well, yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, if you're running Dark Pulse on that, yeah.
Well, that'd be a very interesting set.
Great. Now what I thought was a bad moveset, I'm probably gonna be like, thanks, MJ, get it? No, I'm listening to you.
Nope. I'm a little bit of a psychopath when it comes to the movesets. Don't take my advice on that one.
But I mean, no, it's really true. Like with Mew, once again, that's in more of a faction settings, but you can really use it to target any Pokemon as well. Like you could do something crazy like run Dragon Tail if you want to target Tyrants with it. You can run something like Poison Jab if you want to target the grasses with it. Mm-hmm. Any of those different situations you can really target. Like I said, you can run Volt Switch if you want to target Pelipers. Like you can target certain mons with that Mew, really catch opponents off guard. They're thinking, oh, my Pelipper is a free safe swap against this team. Even against Shadow Claw Mew, I can start pacing to these weather balls and go, oh, wait, it's a Volt Switch Mew? I'm getting farmed down, and now this Mew has 2 wild charges to throw at whatever they want to, or something just crazy like that. You never know. You really never know, so it could be very dangerous.
You gotta love your Mew sets for sure. Oh, Well, gentlemen, this has been wonderful, entertaining about talking about these cores. Thank you, as we have given you the battlers out there 6 wonderful Pokemon to help you understand the Arcana team build, as we have now started off for this month of May. We're gonna go down to Studio B now, as we're gonna go team build with this. So, we're gonna get over here now into the team build. Say hi to everybody. And we're going to go with Mr. Magic Mason here. He's going to give us a screen share of his phone, which will be wonderful. We'll jump into the phone chat.
Let me do that real quick.
We'll get that going. Make sure to mute yourself in Discord. While you're all watching, thank you all for joining us tonight, this Thursday night evening, as we're doing a breakdown, giving you our core picks. I gotta mute myself. I thought I was muted.
Are you hearing double MJ, or is it just me?
That was all me. I thought I had muted myself, but I had unmuted myself. Look at that. But yes, thank you guys, audience members, for joining us today, as we are breaking down the not really new, but breaking down the Arcana Cup. Doing some core buildings and picking up on we're going to do a team build now, and there you are. We're going to build a team of 6, give it out a team run, and then give our input on what it is while we watch Magic Mason versus MJ get it in this wonderful matchup. Oh, does it do it? Does it remember you? No, you don't. It's okay. Oh yeah. How's you guys feeling about these teams? How did you feel about that 6 Pokemon that we had? I actually really liked that whole 6 squad of 6 that we had showing up there.
I feel like that's a team.
What's up?
I said I feel like that's a team that we just had.
Oh, good. I'm not the only one that felt that way. Great. Because that was absolutely a team. You're like 100% right. That was a team.
I think there's definitely a lot of strategies you can do with either double Shadow Claw with say a Mew Cough in there, double Flyer with Pelipper Jump Love, even double Rock, which would be a little bit crazy, but you could do something like that. With Crustle and Tyrant, a lot of different double options as well. So or you could just go for one of each, one counter user, one rock type, one flyer, one ghost, one dark type, and just go for the the pure balance as well. So you really do have a little bit of options with what you want to choose. One thing I really do like, I think we sort of didn't touch on, we did touch at one point, is I really like the Ferrothorn because it feels generally safe. Once again, similar to the Tyrant, just avoiding the counter users mainly. We haven't seen anyone using a Alolan Marowak. So you don't really have to worry about that unless some people start deciding that it's a good pick.
Nobody's going to use it.
But yeah, you mainly only have to worry about the Defense Deoxys or Medi. And especially with people opting for the Defense Deoxys, you resist every charge move that it can have. So you really only have to worry about the counters coming from that Defense Deoxys. So Ferrothorn, I think, has a lot of play. Once again, resisting the Dragon Tails from the Tyrant. So really just has a lot of play into everything. And we talked about the option of either Thunder, Flash Cannon, Mirror Shot, a couple of different movesets you can really go for.
Yeah, I like that Ferrothorn. One of the steel typings that is out there to give you that pressure. We talked about Mirror Shot for sure. I still like that idea now. I was like, oh yeah, there is Mirror Shot.
It fires off real quick too. So
yeah. So welcome everybody, as we are going to be going through Studio B now and breaking up and making a team of 6 for the Arcana Cup with Mr. MJ Get It and Magic Mason here. Be sure to hit like, subscribe down below, and join us. Comment. We're having fun tonight. It is a lovely Thursday night. Gentlemen, I absolutely agree with you on the 6. I think that core 6 that we had picked was really strong. I feel maybe we can put in a Ferrothorn in there. or maybe our own Deoxys. But I did like the Mew. I did like the Cofagrigus, the Pelipper, the Malamar. I'd love to see you guys play that. The DD, like the counter of DD, was really interesting. But gentlemen, like we're doing this together. What do you guys think? Like, where else should we go?
What if we was like go for this is what I'm thinking. I have to power up my Tyrant. Because I just got the XLs for it actually, so we can do that now.
There you go. That's good enough right there.
So that's pretty cool. Oh, I gotta give it its second move as well too.
Plus 1 HP.
I ain't right no stomp. What is this, man? I need the ancient power boost. Okay.
He's stomping the yard, yo. Get out of here.
But so I was thinking maybe something. We bring in the Ferrothorn and a counter user. We just have one Shadow Claw user, and yeah. What do we try?
I'd go with that right there.
I like that too. Okay, so we've got the core picks of Mew, Tyrant, and Pelipper. Or sorry, Malamar, Tyrant, and Pelipper. All three of us have a core pick in there. Cofagrigus, because you guys have seen it numerous amounts of times and said it's the worst thing. So that's in. We said we needed a counter user, so we've activated Deoxys. Why not Medicham? Just to have a discussion.
I really like it because once again the Pelipper becomes a lot better matchup, not taking the super effective wing attack damage.
Okay.
And you have either the option for Thunderbolt to one-shot the Pelipper, or Rock Slides for more consistent damage into things like Jump Bluff, etc. So,
does Malamar bring out the Pelipper?
It could, yeah. I think it can entice Pelipper, but the thing is, we have a decent amount of Pelipper checks because I would consider Ferrothorn, Tyrant, and even like Deoxys average, and honestly, Coffin is new. I don't see a hard loss.
Definitely 4 checks on that team.
Yeah.
I don't see a hard loss to Pelipper at all here.
Could we maybe swap out Deoxys for something else then? Or if there's something that we feel maybe we might need a little more coverage on. I love this team.
Want like a little more offensive pressure. You could probably swap the Deoxys out for maybe Haunter. Like go the double Shadow Claw pressure, and then like you have your Shadow Punch, Ice Punch.
Yeah.
So you threaten your Jump Bluffs that may kind of skate by in this little matchup.
Ooh,
I'm not gonna lie to you
good
guys.
In there, yeah.
I had a little bit of a thought process that came through my head earlier when we were discussing the doubles, and like the Haunter with the Ice Punch was using a strategy of double Ghost with Haunter or Coffin. You save swap the Haunter. If they bring either the Shiftry or Honchkrow, you have the Ice Punch to get shields, and then you bait it out for the Coffin to sweep in the back.
Yep.
And the Coffin not as checked anymore. That you're like you're pretty dangerous there. So giving away one of my strategies that I sort of came. Well, you guys may have thought of the same thing when we were discussing it, but
3 people watching right now, and these videos usually get up a good amount of people too. So get that strat in early, because we'll definitely talk about it. That's a great strat right there. Really smart. I don't think we need to do that here. I really like our lineup here. But I think that for battlers, if you want to play your Haunter and do that, that's a brilliant game plan to get you the one game, and then just bring Peli, Tyrant, and Kofa for the rest of the other 2 matchups, and you're pretty much set. I'm happy with this team. I see that as the Pokeball turn says, they're happy with it. They're going to copy this. They're really excited. They're going to copy this team. Gentlemen, are you happy with this lineup of 6?
Yeah. The one thing I was gonna say about DD is, I mean, look at 2 of our picks with the Tyra and Ferrothorn. I think they're both, at least one of them, gonna be common potentially on a team, and having this like some of the only direct checks for those are the counter users. So having a nice direct check just so the Tyrant save swap and that aggressive Dragon Tail pressure isn't there, or the Ferrothorn being relatively safe across the board. Having a counter user is just really nice for those rock types more so. Nice. Just generally, I feel like.
In the chat, someone said replace Coffin for Runegrigus with that strat.
That could work too, because if you wanna if you have shields that yeah, because you bait it out, and then like you have a 2-shield Shadow Claw user in the back, you could have the potential to either go straight for the, depending if you got shields down, just go for the Shadow Balls, or you can start Sand Tomb debuffing and then adding up the Shadow Claw pressure as well. So I could see why Rune could be a little bit better there. Once again, I don't think Rune immediately, just because I'm like thinking of things like the Pelipper and Jump Bluff, and I'm like, all the ground typing does is make me weaker to the grass and water.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
The ground type makes you so much weaker to the water and grass types. Like the Sand Tomb helps like really make the Mew and Cofagrigus matchups like flip into your favor, but then at the same time, Jump Bluff, Pelipper, Gyarados, Venusaur, Ferrothorn, Lurantis, Shiftry, Meganium, Metacham could probably flip some of that too.
Ice Punch, yeah, Ice Punch from Metacham now becomes super effective. So
yeah,
there's a lot of
that's right. There's Ice Punch.
things.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is a great team of 6. MJ, are you friends with Mason? Do you guys battle often? Are you guys able to get that battle going?
I don't think we're friends.
But guys, best friends forever. 8 the Great is gonna get the boot.
What I could do is I could do
Well, I can hold up. You can hide that. Let me hide this so that way you.
I was just saying you could scan it maybe.
Yeah. I just don't want to hide it on. I'm not gonna put it on stream for you, so that way you don't get 1,000. Sorry. Four scans of whatever.
Well, doesn't it change every like 30 seconds?
Yeah, but I mean, the 4 people that are watching, I'd hate for you to be bombarded by 4 friendship requests.
That's fair.
But yeah. The Arcana meta seems really interesting. It does not feel very RPS. It feels like you're going to have a lot of generalists, a lot of great play, and I've noticed that throughout the entire wave, the entire season of Sylph, that a lot of these input Pokemon help bring out neutral play throughout the rest of the matchups. So it's not just, if you lose the lead, you've lost the matchup. There's not really much RPS in this. And it seems like Arcana is picking up right at that moment too, where there's not much RPS. Are you guys ready? Did you guys share?
Yeah, I just sent him a friend request.
Okay.
Friend requests. What? I mean, you didn't have to just do friend requests. You could have just sent the battle. Just did an old school battle way. Scan them battles. So
look, we're going to see each other again in Columbus. So
yeah, true.
Are you guys gonna try to do an in-person Sylph while you go to a Play Pokemon tournament then?
If they have one.
That'd be sick to have. I mean, we have all these Play Pokemon players. Why not do a Friday night tournament with a bunch of guys? Mm-hmm. I mean, TGC does their stuff. So, Mr. Get It, if you could not look at the screen, we'll have a nice friendly battle. Bring up. You don't have to turn away, but like.
I'm not turning away.
Okay.
I'm showing my good side.
You're showing your good side.
Shows good side.
Actually, I need to turn this way because my router's over there.
Okay. The other good side.
Yeah.
And we are I'm going to shout cats this. So I will do my best to not give away movesets. And we're going to see how this plays out for everybody as Magic Mason is going to take the team of 6 that we have given with Tyrant, Ferrothorn, Defense Deoxys, Malamar, Pelipper, and Cofagrigus and go up against MJ Get It. Mr. Get It, what team are you rocking, sir?
I have no idea. I'm just probably going to wing it once things comes through, but I'm definitely using my core of Tyrant and
Venusaur. I like it. Yeah. I like it.
I'm actually going to test it much about because nobody I think is actually using it, but
do we really think Water Ghost is going to be real good in this grass meta?
It outpaces it. First off, it's actually pretty bulky, and then on top of that, You have Ice Beam on it as well.
That is true.
That is interesting. One thing I don't like about it is it just in terms of the ghost in the meta, the Hex is so much worse than Shadow Claw.
So, but a wall Pelipper, it can kind of wall Pelipper.
Yeah,
it can. But you know what else can? You know what else can wall Pelipper? Barbarical. Crustle.
Crustle doesn't wall Pelipper.
It doesn't?
Nah.
With Smackdown?
Smackdown makes it a lot easier for it to beat, but like if you take a Weather Ball, that's
you have it's a 1-for-1. It's definitely you're giving up a shield, but those Smackdowns are gonna take that Pelipper out of the sky. Yeah.
I haven't gotten this battle request
Still not
yet.
Oh, you didn't get
Niantic.
Oh, wait. Ah, dang it, never mind. It left.
Oh, did you get it?
Yeah, and then it just disappeared. Go ahead and send it.
All right, I'll send it again. Of course.
Great job. No.
There we go.
All right. So he says he's got it. Yes, the teams are choosing. Here we go into these battles. For you 4 amazing viewers out there watching this, thank you for watching. We appreciate you here tonight on this Thursday night. We got Arcana Cup, MJ Get It versus Magic Mason. A little preview of the Sylph tournament coming in Columbus. Is Columbus in May?
End of June, actually.
End of June.
Yeah,
Nope. So Innocent Cup is what will be, what you guys will be playing then.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah. Or you guys could do a ranked OGL Sylph tournament if you wanted. Anyways, here we go, Arcana Cup. Let's get into it. Kofa into Tyrant. All right. The battlers here have talked about the damage that Dragon Tail does and how quickly Shadow Claw builds up. As you see, Dragon Tail is destroying, but makes the catch and gets the Bullet Seed through. A great call there. Tyrant gonna take the Dragon Claw off and swap out, and it's Venusaur. Venusaur is now going to see this Grass Steel typing. The 2 core Pokemon that MJ Get It brought out, he is now taking to Magic Mason. And Frenzy Plant. Frenzy Plant. I think that Steel typing finally putting in the work. Maybe MJ Get It's opponents have never realized that Ferrothorn is a thing in the meta, but Frenzy Plant doesn't really hurt it. And here we go again onto the next move. Here comes another charge move by the Venusaur. The Ferrothorn's built up so much energy now, feeling like it can go for so much. That Flash Cannon did over 2/3 of health. We talked about Mirror Shot earlier in the build core. Go check that out. But we've got Flash Cannon. As you see, it did so much damage to Venusaur's health. And a swap to Shadow Claw down. Venusaur is out. Tyrant was out with no energy. And here comes all of that energy from earlier from Cofagrigus. Now, I talked about in the core picks how Cofagrigus can throw Dark Pulse and Shadow Ball at the same time and get to an extra move count before a Dark Pulse earlier on a 6-tap the second time around. But not going for it, as he is now just going to allow the Ancient Power to come through. And that did a lot more damage.
No.
And it procced. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a proc. The game is now changed. It's so not good in the back either. This is going to be very interesting as the Dragon Claw comes through. The shield is up, but that is exactly what he wants to do because this Tyrant needs to go. Needs to get off the table. And Ferrothorn
needs this damage.
Needs this damage for sure.
Because if you would have had your own on me here in the back, that would have been so bad.
Oh my goodness, the Tyrant with the Pelipper there.
And that's why you love Tyrant.
The Weather Ball does take the Tyrant to half, but look at what Dragon Tails are doing. It don't matter, cause it's Dragon Tailing away. Ancient Power comes through and goodbye. Thank you for playing. No proc there. That proc definitely changed the game. Would have annihilated most of Magic Mason's Tyrant's health there. But in order to stay on it, he had 2 shields still, able to give that shield and throw off that Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn surprisingly powerful against most of that meta. Something that you should look into if you like this. The Cofagrigus Pelipper combo. Oh no, Cofagrigus Tyrant combo. Very strong with the Ferrothorn as the safe swap there. That was very interesting play by Magic Mason, but great job for keeping the energy. What will MJ Get It do? He brought the Venusaur Tyrant the last time as his core. He has a team of 6 that he's going to try out. So let's see what he does again. Will he bring it out again?
I will say the only way. I will say the only way the Ferrothorn does beat Venusaur is if it has a steel type move. So
luckily I do have that. But yeah, so I was thinking if you do happen to have a counter type, I could maybe bait it out with the Ferrothorn for Tyrant in the back. I got lucky with the catch, that helped out a lot too. But thinking like, especially with DD, the most common counter user that you would see would be.
Ooh. And we get Grass Poison onto the Psychic Dark Malamar, as Malamar's Cycle Cuts will be getting a little extra damage onto that Venusaur there, building up the energy. But here's the thing, Malamar, as we said, doesn't have a Psychic move, has the debuffing itself superpower and the foul play. So we'll find out what Venusaur wants to do and how they're going to play it. The Frenzy Plant will get shielded by this Malamar, and here comes the first charge move. Will Venusaur give up his shield? Are we seeing 1-for-1? We do not see 1-for-1 as the Venusaur takes the foul play, doing about half the damage as Venusaur is now in the deep red. The deep red. Another Frenzy Plant, and Venusaur does what MJ Get It has talked about, grabbing shields from his opponent, and so close to the third Frenzy Plant, but not there in time. Thinking real hard and bringing in what looked like a Ghost Hex move. In comes the first foul play. The shield comes from the Jellicent, and there it is. All the energy off of that Venusaur earlier. Malamar is in commanding lead here, able to do the damage. Jellicent, MJ just talked about how thick it was, taking that foul play and showing that it can take the damage. Now, up to that Surf, which is wonderful, helping unlock this Jellicent with a bait move that does damage, but back out comes that Ferrothorn, and here comes the Haunter, scaring your way through your kids' nightmares. Haunter now on the field. Be careful that tongue, it is spooktacular. The shield finally comes through, and Haunter gets up to that charge move. This could be the Shadow Ball. I don't think that was expected after the swap. It is a Shadow Punch. Oh no, is this double punched Haunter? But here comes the second charge move. Mason's like, oh, was it double punched as well? He's shocked. And it's double punch Haunter, but Shadow Punch doesn't. Oh. I thought that was going to KO too. All the energy from Get It as the Weather Ball goes through. But Jellicent is going to get some extra farm. There it is, and can't get to the Weather Ball. This might have been his game plan the whole time. Is Shadow Ball ready? Can it take out the Ferrothorn?
You might get the 2. I don't know how much energy you have.
4. Oh.
I feel like you had some residual.
I messed up shielding that Power Whip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so hard because Haunter, I wonder how much the Power Whip does.
Haunter is frail too, right? Like, that's a glassy Pokemon. You're not looking at an easy Pokemon here. Let's see. I will look that up for you guys. 56. Good lord. Hold on. How much health does Haunter have though?
But there's a situation.
97.
What is it? 97 HP?
Though,
yeah.
We talked about Haunter with Ice Punch and Shadow Punch. There's an example where having the nuke move would have been more clutch, having the Shadow Ball. So you do still have to weigh out, if you're going to use some of these picks, what might be better overall for you.
And fun fact, I don't know if you gentlemen know this, Haunter and Gengar both get Dark Pulse.
Yeah, we're not using that.
Okay. Just saying. Shadow Ball, Ice Punch, those are up there. Dark Pulse could be an option.
Well, it covers the same thing as like the ghost moves, and it's less DP, right?
You can have an entire line of Dark Pulse with Mew, Haunter, and Cofagrigus. You're gonna be super weak to Honchkrow, but you can make it happen. As we get Defense Deoxys into that Haunter, and Haunter again terrifying the dreams, sticking his tongue out and having a laugh. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, how are they going to play this? Now, Haunter has the ghost typing, but it also has the poison typing. So, Psycho Boost put at little super extra effective damage. Did we forget that it was Shadow Punch? No, we didn't. As no shield goes through and the defense of Deoxys comes through hard. Unlike the defense of the Haunter, which might force a shield here, absolutely makes the swap, and Haunter is now seeing that Tyrant. Look at what Dragon Tail is just doing.
Hold up.
We gotta hold up. It is an Ice Punch. So Dragon Tail on Dragon Tail, so much energy. The next Dragon Tail goes through. So if this gets shielded, Magic Mason's Dragon will be out. It is, and oh, no, one more. There it is. Goodbye, Tyrant. A great play there on the Dragon Claw to keep the shield so that his Tyrant comes back in against this DD.
Let's go boost. Let's go boost. Oh.
Dragon Claw will not get you a boost, audience members, but it's back out that Ferrothorn.
Yo, I'm getting denied here. What's going on there?
What?
Let's go boost.
They've stopped denying. There it is. Here comes the boost. Let's go boost. Oh, no boost for the Tyrant here as all the energy. Oh, another charge move. Not going to give up a shield. This is going to be big.
If I would have got that sneak, man, it's bullcrap.
Finally got that sneak. 2 Pokemon left. Haunter can charm down and gonna get the first Pokemon off the table with this charge move. Ferrothorn. I know we had cored up everything else, but Ferrothorn felt real dominant here, folks. As Power Whip is gonna come through on a no shield shiny Mew. Oh, Mew, why you gotta take it? You're so shiny. Will Mew have the flame charge to boost up?
It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter. Because all of the energy on that Ferrothorn after farming down the Tyrant and with the shield left, Magic Mason on top from the Emerald shows why he's one of the best.
That's one thing I didn't realize about
GG's,
Ferrothorn.
battlers.
It's a huge wall to Tyrant, so it's
yeah.
like, especially in that situation where I got like that perfect health where I could bullet seed all the way down and come out with 100 energy, it was going to be hard to take out Ferrothorn.
Like I said, Tyrant's pretty good, but it's like if you get it up against Steel type, nah.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why Ferrothorn's underrated, and another reason why a counter user may be necessary, because Ferrothorn is going to be, I think Ferrothorn, maybe we all slept on it a little bit or just didn't make a core with it, but is definitely very useful. And some of the main only checks are like something like a Marowak, which we aren't seeing any of, or the counter users. Mm-hmm. So I feel like a lot of people are bringing the counter users just for certain things like the Ferrothorn or Tyrants or either or, you know?
Well, my thought on that is I think in factions, like the faction side of Arcana, Ferrothorn has much more play, because in the tournament side, you're going to have to stick with the moveset. So like you go Power Whip, Flash Cannon, you're getting a lot of things, but then you're probably going to sacrifice maybe the rare Gengar or like the Haunter that does have like energy advantage and Shadow Ball. If you go like Thunder, you're getting all the flyers pretty much, except maybe Jump Fluff.
Yeah.
Ferrothorn seems good, but it seems good because those Pokemon are top notch. So you kind of have to. It's like a top counter. I wouldn't say it's a core Pokemon. It is absolutely a top counter because we're not seeing the Marowaks, because of those other Pokemon, because of the Pelipper, because of the Cofagrigus, because of the Tyrant. Ferrothorn has a lot more play, but that doesn't mean that someone can still not bring Alolan Marowak. They can bring Alolan Marowak and dominate, but Alolan Marowak has been on the bench. So right now in this early stage, Ferrothorn has a very strong dominance because the cores that we've picked were Pelipper, Cofagrigus, Tyrunt, Mew.
I just had a thought because you just mentioned all those Pokemon, and we just had an event where, what was it? Fomantis was like running around free.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
everybody kind of had a chance to get themselves a Lorantis.
Oh, I went hard on that.
Fairy Cutter, Leaf Blade, and Superpower. That can do some serious damage to most of the top meta, Ferrothorn itself, most of the grasses, most of the psychics, some of the ghost types, even not Cofagrigus. He'll get walled by Cofagrigus. But outside of that, like that's another little side pick that can rise up.
Especially if we start seeing more Ferrothorns pollute the meta, you can now have an immediate response. And I did go for that Lorantis because the minute I saw Fomantis back out, I was like, where's my Lorantis? Because it's such a great moveset. And it also has access to Razor Leaf too. Yes, sir, before all the flies go into your mouth.
I was just going to say, you said not the coffin. In the 2 shields, you get to 4 Leaf Blades before they get to a 3rd Dark Pulse. So you win the 2 shields with Lorantis with good move timing. Wow. So I was waiting for you guys to finish, but I really wanted to spit that out real quick because it's actually something that is very underrated there too. With the once again similar to Malamar with the superpower coverage as well, it's pretty good. And like the Leaf Blades hit like the Pelipper very hard as a flyer and a lot of things. Plus, like if they do happen to have a shifty on your team, you can pretty much Fury Cutter all the way through that whole thing and come out loaded. So, those kind of situations are definitely useful for it.
I love the fact that we are looking at this meta in the solo tournament after seeing 6 straight weeks of it, and you guys are finding new Pokemon to play with and finding new opportunities. That just tells how great and how open these metas are and how wonderful it is, and it doesn't feel like a hard shift is going to really hurt you. You can still balance it out, and Sylph has done a great job this season throughout all of these metas, working them out. And I think it's just wonderful that we're here now having this discussion with you two we've all seen Arcana. We're tired of Arcana, but now you guys seem like you might have a little fire in you, maybe to play Lorantis, maybe to bring Ferrothorn, or even better, a Alolan Marowak.
No, well, Ferrothorn maybe, not the other two. The other two just maybe in a late month tournament, like last call, and I might decide to do it. Maybe that, but Ferrothorn is the only one of that group where I was even thinking about in the first place.
Yeah, I'm like Marowak. Like, is the thing is it's matchups are going to be pretty RPS because you have the top 3, or not top 3, but some of the most common things in the meta are the Pelipper, the Shadow Claw users, and a Rock Fast Move Pressure, which all destroy Marowak. But then Marowak does have play versus all the grasses, especially like a Ferrothorn. And both of the counter users we do sort of discredit. It does really good against both the Oxus and Metacham. So it does have a certain amount of play there. But I think you also have better answers there. If you're going to want to counter those counter users, you might as well just go for the Shadow Claw user in Coffin, where it does better generally. So I think that's why we don't see Marowak. It's like you can just find better ways to do the job.
You need the Shadow Alolan Marowak. That's what you need. And then on top of that, you still Pelipper everywhere.
Mason, how did you feel with the team?
I felt really good there.
You felt really good with the team?
I mean, I didn't have much to go off based off of what MJ was gonna bring there, so like it wasn't too bad. But like, I mean, like a lot of those picks feel safe, and like especially something like that line where a little bit double weak to counter, and making room for Tyranitar to sweep in the back was a little bit fun. And Ferrothorn felt really, really strong. I mean, I've definitely used it in factions, but man, I think I thought it felt even stronger there before than like I have used it when I used it in the past. So,
MJ, how did you feel going against that team?
It makes me really wish I had a counter user against them.
Okay.
Like I was literally like, okay, I'll bring my core picks. I want to use the Jellicent because like I see it being highly ranked. It's like, okay, it's got to have some play. Like, okay, cool. Haunter, I just wanted to use a double punch, and then Mew was just on there because it's Mew. Who doesn't like Mew? But then, that Ferrothorn and then having Flash Cannon, I was like, okay, this is where not having a counter user is really going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then not having Shadow Ball on
Haunter
was going to hurt. Yeah.
That definitely costs you. Well, that's great. I'm glad you guys were able to give that, like, going into there and talking about the different aspects, feeling strong even though you were blind going in with the team, and then as the opponent feeling like, oh, I don't know what to bring, what to do. That's great. Like, you need to have a counter user or you're in trouble. Wonderful, because there's not that many counter users. They're all down at the bottom. So hopefully this information helps you, the battler, get ready for May 1st when Arcana kicks up, because it has been a wonderful 6 weeks in factions, but you've been able to mix out and change it up during each round. Now you can't, and you have to be stuck with the team. So playing the fun stuff is great to get that surprise, but you should be able to be in the tournament and ready to get the win with your team no matter what, even if you're not surprising your opponent. And this team here is wonderful, and these gentlemen have did a great job helping us build this lovely team. So thank you guys for this great team of 6 here. In the chat, Arison asks, the Clunk asks, why does Scyther keep popping up in the Sims?
It's a sim hero.
It's a sim hero. That's all?
Yeah.
I mean, it has access to Fury Cutter too. But
like, I think the Sims are kind of favoring a lot of the grass types. So, like, because it's favoring a lot of the grass types, you'll see Scyther pop up a lot. Because where's the highest ranked Scyther at? It's what rank? Where is Scyther? 38? Is that the highest one? Shadow?
Scyther, 38, regular Scyther with Night Slash. So Fury Cutter, Night Slash, and Bug Buzz.
Look at his key losses. That's why, like, you wouldn't use Scyther. His key losses tell you right there. Pelipper and Cofagrigus.
Pelipper, Cofagrigus, Mew, Jumpluff, and Gengar. Like, no. Your key wins are Shiftry, Venusaur, Malamar, Gorgeist, and Tyrant. So, like, it is good to get to, like, as a number 6. If you're trying to fill that for your team, Scyther could be that, but don't bank on it. Is what we're saying.
I think there's better options.
Yeah, don't bank on Scyther. There's definitely better Lurantis is a better option for you, I would say, to do kind of that damage, to fill up that gap. Venusaur is a better option for you. What's up?
Vespiquen is a better option.
Vespiquen's a better option, yeah. With Power Gem, what she got? Fury Cutter, Power Gem, and X-Scissor. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. She
also wanted to point out, I was just checking for if you guys were curious about the Haunter situations. With Ice Punch against both Shiftry and Honchkrow, you actually win the 0 and 1 scenario. So Haunter actually beats those. So you have the ability to, like, bait those out and, like, either flip the matchups or guaranteed shield advantage.
I know there's some tricks you gotta do, but I know it can beat Pelipper in the ones with Ice Punch.
Okay, that is super fun.
I believe it.
I'm surprised. Why didn't you throw Ice Punch in game 2?
I needed to get a lot of move like that stab bonus right there.
Oh, okay. You're just getting extra damage there.
If I threw one Ice Punch, I wasn't going to get to the second one.
Got it.
Yeah, Shadow Punch is 5 energy less, and actually does 0.02 more DPE. I was thinking, though, I mean, you're losing a little bit, but you could also even go for the Ice Punch Shadow Ball play. Ooh. That way you have the nuke play still, and you have a punch.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. That was the lineup.
Well, because my thought was that would be punch. Yeah, my thought is double punches. More so keep myself safe against Cofagrigus.
Yeah, that's the whole nice point about Shadow Punch is to have it for the Coffin. You outpace it consistently. Because if you have Shadow Ball, then they're actually outpacing you to the Dark Pulses.
Yep.
Which they can throw at you instead of vice versa.
You're going for a straight Shadow Ball.
So then as a Haunter user, you had to figure out what your Haunter is going to be used for. Cofagrigus or Pelipper, and figure out, like, what your team is asking, what your lines are trying to do, and make sure you can line that up properly. Definitely usable.
As a Haunter user, you also got to realize what IVs you want. Like, I kind of like my Haunter having, like, 5, 6 attack IVs, maybe even 7, just pushing it there. Just like have that, and then probably 15, 14 on the defense side.
That's good. I like that. Have extra attack, get that umph, especially for a weak Pokemon like that with only 97 HP.
Right.
Mason, does any of your Pokemon even have 97 HP, or do they all are 110 above? Are they all 120 above HP? All the Pokemon that you like using?
You mean the Pokemon on this current team?
No, that you like using. Like, do you?
Oh yeah, I don't really like using glassy Pokemon, but I actually did. I did mention the Haunter, so I actually like that one in this meta, and I feel like Haunter is a thing if you can, like, especially if you can, you know, maximize your energy gains in certain matchups and come out with energy. Haunter can sweep like entire teams.
Nice.
Like it is very dangerous, and like we said, with only 2 dark types in the meta, or I guess technically 3, but Malamar takes neutral from Shadow Claws and any other ghost moves, and the other 2 are both weak to Ice Punch. It really can't be walled. I mean, it's gonna lose to things like Gyarados and Tyrant, especially in the later shielding scenarios, because like fast move pressure and even like Pelipper in a lot of scenarios, but it really doesn't get walled to the where it's gonna get, you know, beat in every matchup in every shielding scenario.
The only, and again, I said this with my core, the only thing I think of that really just stops Haunter dead in this track is Bronzong, but again, you're not seeing any Bronzong at all.
No, because there's all those Shadow Claw users.
Yeah. And even, I mean, I guess that matchup is just, once again, probably just worse in the 2s overall, and the 1s. You only win the 0s as a Haunter. Oh, that's with ball as well.
Well, gentlemen, this has been a wonderful 2 hours of core building and team running here. I feel like we have gotten a great start on Arcana Cup, getting a little extra tidbit with that Ferrothorn and maybe even providing some counters. But the core picks, the team lineup here is so good. We'll have to see what the score is later. Talk about that later. I'm sure it's pretty deep. But yeah, gentlemen, how do you feel about this team?
I think it's really solid.
Yeah, this is a solid, strong team. Like, you got Pelipper, put it anywhere. Tyrant's the best lead on the team. Cofagrigus can take anything. Ferrothorn, like, you basically pick the moveset you want there. You can go Thunder, Flash Cannon for the big same type attack bonus nuke, Mirror Shot to get them maybe attack debuff. It covers a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I just really like it because you feel like, you know, you're not really weak. You know, you have the 2 things weak to the counters, but then you have like the Coffin, the Pelly, the Malamar, which fight back against it. You have things sort of weak to the Shadow Claws, but then you have like the Malamar with foul plays, and Ferrothorn it seems to do well against all the Shadow Claw users, except I guess technically not against the Haunter and Gengar because of the poison typings, but like there's ways around that as well. And just so it seems like a lot of the good synergy where you have like things that cover each other well. And this team is also very flexible. We talked about if you want to use like a double flyer, you could replace Ferrothorn with Jumpluff. If you want to use double Shadow Claw, we already talked about replacing Deoxys with either Mew or Haunter. You wanted to do double Dark, you can replace Tyrant with Shiftry or Ferrothorn with Shiftry, and you have like two Dark types that hard answer the Shadow Claw users a little bit better. Any of those are viable options, so you really have a little bit of flexibility with this 6 here as well too. Like Crust, you can put Crustle in there over the Tyrant if you prefer, you know, fast move rock pressure. So
you can pick and choose when you want to use your shields too with this team.
Yeah, enough tanky. Yeah, enough bulk here for sure.
This is a great team put together, and hopefully it's going to help you, the battlers, out there as we are starting our Arcana Cup here May 1st. So be on the lookout as it is kicked off here, and this team is going to help you down the line. Mr. MJ Get It, Magic Mason, thank you for joining me today on the channel. I really appreciate your guys' analysis and stuff like that. Where can people go and find you?
Yeah. So I guess I'll kick off real quick. Simple enough, Magic Mason. So main thing I post on is Twitter. Any updates with, you know, GBL, any of my play Pokemon stuff, still any updates with that. And then I stream on Twitch. Same thing, twitch.tv/Magic Mason. So If you see me live, or go over, drop a follow, get notifications. If you see me live, come hang out. We just, play some battles and have some fun. So always appreciate anybody to stopping by.
You can catch me on Twitter at MJGetIt. Basically, FSPN content and a whole lot of other stuff. I go for the jokes and stay for the fun. So, like, just come on by and enjoy the time while I just lose my mind sometimes, So there
Awesome.
you go. That's find me.
Great analysis done by you through the FSPN, giving us all the recaps of NA, of what's going on in all of the leagues. So be sure to check that out on the Sylph channel, as well as the articles of NA, Latinum, EU, and APAC are written up there. And MJ Get It is the representative for NA. So thank you, MJ, for those analysis. And thank you, gentlemen, again for joining me. Thank you all for hanging out with us tonight on this lovely channel. We hope you guys are having a fun Arcana Cup, as it is about to kick off and we are about to finish up the season 5 of Sylph. Be sure to like the video so we know what you guys are liking down here. And thank you all for watching. I'm Sosa Flow, and like always,